Yeah. Everything good?
Yeah, of course. You said you were thinking?
Hi guys, it's your favorite mystic, TheSirenSayz, and welcome back to my channel, where I speak about movie, TV, and soon-to-come books, and everything that I like, dislike, and the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything all throughout and in between those frames of media. And here we go with the disclaimers. People are not real, passion or lack thereof at this point, because this show is just talking about the show, talking about the characters, not about the real people. Tyler Perry, I don't know what you're doing anymore. Don't know what your writers are doing anymore. It's coming dangerously close to episode 10, and if I don't get something to really hook me past like 5 seconds of like, ooh, that was dramatic. If I don't get anything to really hook me, I'm about to be out and start talking about something else. So, let's just get into, I'm going to do this video a little bit differently. I'm going to talk about what I liked. And then I'm going to talk about what they should have done a little bit. And then I'm going to talk about what I hate. So, number one, I kind of like the Gary and Tamara storyline. And I say kind of because you guys know how I feel about Tamara and Hayden. I like them together. However, I feel like since the show would never give us depth of character for Hayden in that way, and would never try to put Tamara into the fold and make her matter that way, they're just gonna make her a foil and make her sleep around with Gary. So even though I would prefer for Hayden and Tamara to be a serious thing, and I like the idea of them being a serious thing, I know they're not gonna do that, so I'm just gonna take what I can get, and I'll take the drama because it's one part of the show that isn't terrible. It's terrible for Hayden, and I like Hayden, but he also kind of deserves it. He deserves to get his back stabbed in by Gary. I don't know why you think you should trust him. Huh? Why should you trust him? Who said that you should trust him? I'm so confused as to why you can trust this man. You literally told Tamara that he's one of the most selfish people you know, and you hella selfish. So that means Gary is more selfish than you. You should be smarter than this, Hayden. Big brain, mega mind. You should be really smarter than this. And I'm so... Also, he ain't got a nice body. Got a nice body. I'm a little confused as to why Tamara is into Gary. I don't necessarily understand it. I'm okay with it for the drama, but in terms of like where it's coming from, I'm not sure where it's coming from. Hayden and Gary are very similar, so I don't necessarily know why she would go for Gary when he's like less likely to be faithful. I know that she's not getting with him like, ooh, I can marry. I know it's just lust at this point, but I don't get it. But that's just me thinking with better writing and not necessarily understanding, so I'm just gonna let it go. Something else that I liked. I like the idea of the fertilization storyline, but that's also something that they could have done better, in my personal opinion. Yeah. Scooting forward, I don't like Danny and Tony, so I'm not even gonna put them here. I'm gonna put them in what I don't like. But I even like the idea of Karen's storyline right now at this point, not the baby part, the suffering salon part. I think that's very interesting. I think it's interesting what's going on with Andy and them. I think that's very interesting. The dynamic of sisterhood is not necessarily changed, but has been a little bit different. I don't know. Now just to go into what I think they could have expounded on. Now, there are some things that I did not put in the like section just because I feel like the writers needed to work on it more than it was good. I feel like in order for it to have been something that was good, they would have needed to have worked on it. I think that this show would have been so much better, even just drama-wise, if they paid attention to other things instead of what they're currently focusing on. And you could still make it dramatic and romantic while focusing on these things. So, for example, and I might make a separate video about this, who knows? I think if you focused on each of these girls' individual jobs, you could still make it dramatic. Like, for example, Andy's job is a clear example. Fatima comes in and says, just keep working on the whatever case. I'm just like, okay, that's just a throwaway to show that she has work to do, I guess. But like, she's a divorce lawyer. For a dramatic show about finding love, how much more interesting would it have been if they had, you know, even just Andy's job and Karen's job, right? Because those two jobs have a lot to do with relationships and coming together. So for Andy's job, right? We could literally see like, let's see, they have like 20 episodes a season, sometimes 19. We could spend like five or six of those episodes with like seeing 3 different couples or something that she's working on, and the girls or Andy herself learn something from the different divorces, and maybe 1 or 2 of them sometimes try to stick together. Like, she learns something from it. She grows from the experience of helping all these people. It also shows how tough she can be in court. That way she doesn't get all of her wins off screen, and we stop getting gaslit about how brilliant she is, because we actually get to see it instead of it's just being like a throwaway line during every other episode that Andy's so brilliant. We actually get to see it, right? With Karen's job, she'll sit there, work on people's hair. Beauty salons and barbershops are notorious for gossip and stories and just coming together. I think it would be super cool if on Karen's side, we could like see every now and then somebody come in with an issue. She either gives them advice or she hears about their problems and she relates it to her own life, and she gets introspective about it, and she thinks about what she needs to do or what her girls could do, because, oh, this girl came in and was talking about this palm colored boy that she was dating and the mistakes that she made and how she wished she got that palm colored boy back. Then she thinks about Danny. I'm sorry, I'm projecting, but it still would have worked. So I think that would have been interesting. With Sabrina's job, like maybe once or twice you could see her like have a single mom come in struggling financially, or a single mom who got a lot of money come in, or a 2-parent household that came in that's struggling, or a 2-parent household that's in a struggling, or a single dad. Like just a bunch of different things that relate to the girls, a bunch of different things that relate to the girls' relation to their job. So with Danny, right? She is airplane. She could see like a lot of mistresses going on trips, or a lot of young girls traveling with their partners, traveling around the world with their loved ones, older, younger, whatever, women who are by themselves and they're completely happy and they're just traveling around the world, and she gets to see them, and she tries to relate to her own life and figures out, what does she want? Does she want a partner? Does she want marriage? Does she want kids? What does she want? You know, and all of this relating their jobs and their fields to their romantic and love life and relationships would help us get to know more about the girls. I kept thinking to myself, like today, when Rich gave Sabrina a present and it was just a charm bracelet and it really wasn't anything else, I kept thinking, writers, this was your time to lore dump and give us some more information on Karen. Maybe he doesn't give her a full bracelet, right? Just make it simple. Maybe he gives her a charm, 2 charms, showing something significant, right? A roller skating charm because their first date was roller skating, or a baby charm because she wants kids and he loves her so much that he's thinking about having kids. This is not my personal opinion. I'm just saying they could have done that to, you know, something about Sabrina, like, oh, this is a green clover charm because she's always been lucky. Like something to let us know more about her. All we hear is that she wears charm bracelets, which we can guess from her decor and her aesthetic. So I just feel like the show misses a lot of opportunities to enrich the characters in easier ways that will be easier for them. It's all about using the environment, and you guys know when I'm talking about what they could have done, I normally talk about what they've already given us. And that's one of the reasons why I've kept on this show. If you want to know, why you keep watching it, if you dislike it so much, because you just heard me, right? Everything I just said is something that they could even do next season. They could start doing it now. They can use everything that they already have to make a cohesive story that the writing is just good because they have so much stuff. They can just pick and choose what they want to expand. But instead, they don't really expand anybody but Zach. And that's why he's the angel of the show, and nobody ain't never got nothing bad to say about him, because it's all Karen's fault all the time. So yeah. I feel like they could have worked on that. I don't really care too much about Maurice, but I think the scene with him and the guy was stupid, because why is that guy dumb? He is an SEX worker. He has to tell them anything that they want to hear. It's the fantasy. It's a fantasy job. He can't be real with them. If he becomes real with them, then it's going to become a conflict of interest. It's going to be more difficult for him. So him being like, you made it seem like you don't really want that happily ever after princess life for real. So I'ma dip out. Finish your little session. Like, okay, sir. Common sense is a virtue. That's all I gotta say on that. Now, to speak on what else happened, I think I kind of touched most things. Let's talk about what I didn't like. I'm a bitter Betty. I don't care. Y'all can say I'm being bitter. Everything that has to do with Danny and Tony is sickening my spirit. I know some people are going to say, look, we understand you don't like her, but it's because she's going through therapy. No. She was being more agreeable to a certain extent before she started seeing that lady. I know we want to give it to her that she went through therapy, but I know Daniela. Okay? I know her. She was my favorite character. Despite all the dumb stuff that she was doing with Preston, I saw a lot of potential and I loved her until I couldn't anymore. She started acting right with Tony before the therapy thing. Tony just drudged up the fact that she had trauma from back there, made it his personal mission to say that she needs help. It wasn't even something that was like affecting their relationship. She was just having nightmares and not wanting to talk about it. He was like, you need therapy. Go see a therapist. I'm like, really? You have it way easier than Preston. Preston had a lot more red flags to deal with. And that is why today, when he came at her and then she kind of came back at him and he was kind of like shocked, like, oh, you really acting like this? I'm like, what is going on here? What is going on here? Do you not know her? Because I was getting on her for not knowing you. Do you not know her? She's been acting right, whatever version of that you can say, with you this entire time. You don't know how she really is. Her being sort of nice, nasty towards you, that's the least. Her wanting like a day to process, you're lucky. How about instead of judging Preston and being like, well, you was a palm color complected cowboy, you was never good enough for Danny, so I'ma come in and I'ma slide right in and we gonna fit perfectly. Yeah, how about you go on a call with Preston one day and ask him what was going on with him and Danny? Because I don't think he'd talk to you about it because he doesn't like you for good reason. But if he were to sit down and be honest with you, or maybe you could sit down with Zach and, Zach could tell you what's going on. He could tell you that Danny was majority of the problem in their relationship. You think she needs therapy because she went through trauma, not because it was affecting your relationship. Preston had a lot more issues with her to contend with. That was the flare-ups of her trauma. Her trauma has started to calm down once she got with you. And because it was calming down, it had to come out in another way. So before, she was way more physical and visceral with her trauma that she kept dumping out on Preston all the time. But because she's with you and she's so happy, oh my God, now her trauma has to come out a different way, and it came out in nightmares. Why are you acting like, oh, at the smallest sign of a red flag, therapy, you're shooting therapy at niggas like a flare gun? I hate this man, and I don't like Danny anymore, and it's just so sickening. Why does she deserve to get what she wants with this man? She's low-key considering becoming a stepmom when we all know that's not the type of person that she is. she's considering changing herself for her and for him. I am not saying that she didn't need to change. You guys heard me say how much I wish she would have changed for Preston. But I think it's so crazy that with Preston, she wouldn't have had to do anything but stop cheating on this man. That's all she would have had to do. But with him, she gotta stop cheating, stop having nightmares, go to therapy, do better this, do better that, do better that, become a stepmom. Becoming a bonus parent is a lot of work. Even if the kids don't see you as their parent, they see you as an authority figure, like an aunt or an uncle. And she's going to do that because she cares about this man, and it just sickens my soul. She said, when I committed to you, and you know what, to get to the commitment of these girls, it's whack. It's whack. Why? When Sabrina was talking with Rich, right? They were having the conversation, and she was talking realistically, and I appreciated her saying these things because she really should leave him, but she not going to, right? I appreciated her saying, well, what if I have the baby and it's not yours and he asks about you, and I say, I'm dating this man but he's not your father and you don't have anything to do with the kid at all, and what if we have to break up? Would you leave me if I had the baby? And he was just quiet and sullen. Nothing no day in him. Nothing. Blind, deaf, and dumb, brother. The Creole is coming out. This is how much I hate this show. Then, he says, we'll get to it when we get to it, right? And I heard the theme of, in this episode, we haven't even been together that long, right? And it made me think about our community. The community of the noirs, where we don't take relationships that seriously. Like, the most serious that we'll take it, if it hasn't been 5 years, is that we won't cheat. Like, that's a sign that someone's being taken seriously. And they'll do like bare minimum and just like not cheat. Oh, it's been 4 months. So we don't need to know situation between Danny and his ex-wife for real. We don't need to know the extent of that. Who cares? We don't need to know too much about Jordan's past so that when the allegations came out, we could trust him or not trust him. We didn't really need to know any of that, really. We never needed to know that Rich's morals opposed ours to a certain extent. We didn't need to know any of that because it's just been 4 months. They have keys to our apartments and they sleep over all the time, and we go on dates and we all boot up and everything, and we know each other's friend group and we go on group dates, but we don't need to know anything else really. Like, it's just been 3 days. We're treating it like it's been 3 days when it's been 3 months. And this is not me saying they need to know every little thing, but they don't know big things. By month 3, you should know about Tony's kids, Daniela. You should know the extent. Especially if you are opposed to the stepmom life. You should have made that your mission just to square that away so that you could make a real decision on whether or not you really wanted to be with this man. Instead of making him digmatize you to the point where you're just going to be with him regardless. Andy, we all know you're a little bit of an addict, a woohoo addict. Okay, but we should have worked a little harder to find out more about Air Jordan, so that if any allegations were ever to come out, we feel safe and secure because we did our background checks. We're a lawyer. We are a lawyer, so we're supposed to do our background checks, so that we could be like, you know what? Maybe Gary had something to do with it, or Hayden. Why didn't you think that they might have had something to do with it? Now, there was a conversation to be had about men were falsely accused and believe. I think that's a good conversation to have. So I don't hate that. However, Andy is a lawyer, so she's not really the right sister to have that conversation, in my personal opinion. It's a good conversation to have, but it doesn't really make sense for the lawyer, you know? Anyways, Sabrina, maybe you should have asked him a few questions when you had the first date and thought, we could live the rest of our lives with these niggas. We could live so our lives with these ninjas. We could do that. All three of you idiots thought that these men were virtually perfect and infallible. Meaning, you were hoping, no holds barred, hoping that all goes well, that y'all could end up with these men. So why is it that you would not ask the requisite questions? You're too old for this. You know something that I do all the time when I am talking to somebody? I constantly say, all the time, the big things that I know people might hitch and haw on. I know that some people are like, well, sometimes you gotta let them get to know you a little bit so that they'll think that you're worth the baggage or whatever, or the differences. Then date a friend. Date somebody that you've known for a month and you were just friends. And so in conversation, they've randomly heard you say some dumb stuff, but they like you anyway. But if you meet somebody and it's immediately on some romantic type of time, go on a few dates and then get serious. This is not like they just met and I'm asking them to like put out their whole red flag resume. It's been 3 months and none of them, it's like they're all together, but they all don't think it's that serious. But like it needs to be like 2 years or 3 years something before they can have conversations about love. Like Andy was scared and thought that he might love her. Well, I would hope he would love you if he going in and out every night. I would hope he's at least starting to think about it when I talk about it. We can tell that Daniela is already in love with Tony. She just ain't gonna say it. Because they're deciding to make that part of her character the part that they're gonna keep up with. We know Sabrina likes Rich because she is sacrificing baby time for him. But who knows? Sabrina doesn't necessarily love anybody who isn't her friend. So, that would have been a nice arc to see develop, but we don't really care at this point. Yeah. Also, side note, how come none of the men had anything to say about Air Jordan? Like, his two besties? I would have thought that they would have been, like we would have had a little buzz scene of them going over to Jordan, then Jordan, like we could see like from the boys' perspective, because the show isn't really about Zach. So it would have been nice if we had a giant male perspective. It could have been Rich, Tony, and Air Jordan. And we sit down with them for like 5, just 3 minutes tops, right? And they sit down and they're like, bro, are you okay? What's going on? And he tells them everything so that we as the audience can get Jordan's perspective, how he feels about the open case, how he feels about Andy. And then when that scene is over, after we get the perspective of Tony and Rich, then we cut to a scene with Gary and Hayden giggling and sniggling, because we all know that they set this up. We all know that. I feel like I'm screaming. I don't know why I'm screaming. I feel like they're not capitalizing on the right things. They're showing us all the wrong things. And I'm not sure why they keep doing it. It's annoying. At this point, I'm not even going to show you stuff scene by scene. I'm going to make a collage of everything that I'm talking about and just stop it on the page. Because I ain't really got time for the 5 hours of editing with this show no more. I ain't got time. Lastly, when it comes to Karen and Fatima, Karen thinks that Fatima thinks that she's a who, and so what? You never really wanted a relationship with her anyway. But Fatima was defending you to Zach, because a lot of people love to forget that Zach was justified at being upset with you for a while, but once he got with Fatima, there were times when he was talking crap about you, and Fatima had to tell him to stop talking crap about you. Fatima was always on your side, more than Zach was. But you kept acting so horrifically that Fatima started to act more like Zach. And this is what I'm telling y'all. Zach got all the character development, and Fatima literally regressed. And I'm not going to blame her for that when it comes to Karen, because how long can she turn the other cheek? She ain't got no more cheeks left to turn. She got the 2 on the face, the 2 on the butt. All the cheeks been clapped. So I just feel like that whole scene was just not needed. But I know Zach loved it deep down. He said, ooh, they fighting over me. I can't stand. Okay. So the next episode, We're gonna get a lot of nonsense. I'll be here for it. It's dramatic. I'll be here. But I'm not loving the ride. I'm not. One thing I did forget to mention that was positive though is that the dialogue is better. There's the double talk is completely gone. Like before it was going away, it's completely gone. So the dialogue is much smoother, but the story is not flowing together the way that it needs to. And if you guys disagree with me, it's fine. But I just watched Law and Order today, like a couple episodes, like a mini marathon, just random episodes from random seasons. And I laughed. I got emotional with the victims and the perpetrators and the people who did something. I felt emotional when they was going off too. I was feeling it for Benson, Stabler, Tutuola, Will, all of them. I was feeling it. And it's just a cop show. Now, I know you can say, well, it's about, assault crimes. So, of course, you're going to feel something. No, I don't like all cop shows. And all cop shows are about crimes. And I think some cop shows are super cringy. And the writing is just bare minimum. And it's not good. But Law and Order SVU, it has no business being as good as it is. The chemistry between all the characters, the acting, like, no complaints. No complaints. And I'm not saying that Tyler Perry has to be Law and Order level, but Law and Order is like a soap opera crime drama. So it's supposed to be dramatic, but meaningful because of the crime. That's all I want. I want the drama to be meaningful. You don't have to win a Pulitzer Prize for your writing. You don't have to get an Oscar. You don't have to win all the prizes for best screenplay, Tyler Perry. You just have to make it make sense. There's a lot of shows that I watch that I wouldn't say are the best written things ever, but I enjoyed it because the acting was good enough. Right? Some people in the show better actors than others. And the story made enough sense that it made me feel something and it made me want to keep coming back. I'm losing steam. This is frustration in my voice. I'm losing steam with this. It's crazy. Whatever. Please let me know your thoughts down below. Next week I'll be dropping a whole lot of videos. Okay, because I just want to get them out the way. I don't really care to hold videos anymore. Like, who cares? I'm gonna just let y'all know what I think about Sistas, all those little pieces, and drop them because it is what it is at this point. Anyways, please let me know your thoughts down below. And thanks so much for watching. And goodbye, my sires. Sue.